In a world filled with beauty and adventure, choosing where to go next can be the hardest part. That's why we've rounded up destinations that stand out for all the right reasons. From wild landscapes to cultural treasures, these are places that truly inspire. What if every misty sunrise felt like a painting coming to life? The Great Smoky Mountains offer just that. A timeless sanctuary of fog, forest, and flame-colored leaves. The Great Smoky Mountains, USA, span the border of North Carolina and Tennessee and form part of the Appalachian Range. They're named for the ever-present blue mist that clings to their ridgelines, giving them an ethereal, otherworldly look. This UNESCO World Heritage Site and the most visited national park in the country boasts ancient hardwood forests, cascading waterfalls, and iconic drives like Clingman's Dome Road and the Blue Ridge Parkway. In autumn, the foliage blazes in gold, red, and amber. Culturally, the Smokies preserve rich Appalachian traditions, from folk music to handcrafts, and remnants of early settler cabins hidden among the trails. Surprising detail: the Smoky Mountains are among the world's most biodiverse temperate forests, home to over 19,000 documented species and possibly thousands more undiscovered. It's a secret kingdom in plain sight. What if a medieval fortress rose from a maze of blood-red rocks shaped like ancient gods and sleeping giants? It's not fantasy, it's Belogradchik. Belogradchik, Bulgaria. Tucked against the Balkan Mountains in Bulgaria's northwest, this mystical town is home to one of the country's most surreal landscapes. The Belogradchik Rocks, a labyrinth of towering sandstone and conglomerate formations, stretch across 30 kilometers, shaped by centuries of wind and water into bizarre, often human-like forms. The crown jewel is the Belogradchik Fortress, partially built into the rock formations themselves. With origins dating back to Roman times and expansions during the Ottoman era, the fortress offers panoramic views over alien terrain and whispering pine forests. This region has long sparked legends. Locals tell tales of monks turned to stone, rock guardians of treasure, and an exiled princess whose sorrow shaped the valley. The town itself is quiet, authentic, and deeply rooted in Bulgarian tradition. Belogradchik is more than just a destination. It's a collision of geology, myth, and forgotten history, standing still under a sky that seems to honor its silence. Svaneti, Georgia. Hidden deep in the Caucasus Mountains, Svaneti is one of the most remote and magical regions in Europe. Located in the northwest corner of Georgia, this ancient land is guarded by rugged peaks and steep valleys, home to some of the continent's highest inhabited villages. Time seems to have stopped here. Stone defense towers rise beside rustic homes, keeping the echoes of the medieval past alive. Mestia, the region's cultural hub, greets visitors with winding streets and panoramic alpine views. But it's Oshkoli, perched under the mighty Mount Shkara, that truly stuns. Cobbled lanes and fortified dwellings create a living museum where history breathes in every corner. Hikers flock to the area for treks like the iconic Mestia-Ushkoli route, which winds past alpine meadows, glacial streams, and the thunderous Shtugra waterfall. Svaneti's culture is equally rich. The Svans, a distinct ethnic group, have preserved their language and age-old customs for generations. Their haunting polyphonic chants, recognized by UNESCO, echo through valleys as if calling the mountains themselves. Despite its remoteness, Svaneti offers a warm welcome, a journey not just through nature but through centuries of unbroken tradition. What if the sky didn't just reflect in water, but in salt? Where earth and heavens meet in perfect symmetry. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia, is the world's largest salt flat, covering over 10,000 square kilometers in South America's Altiplano. At certain times of the year, a thin layer of water transforms it into a natural mirror so flawless, it blurs the line between sky and ground. Located over 3,600 meters above sea level, this alien-like landscape is surrounded by volcanoes, flamingo-dotted lagoons, and rocky islands like Isla Incahuasi, covered in giant cacti. It's a photographer's dream, and one of the most surreal places you can stand on Earth. Salar de Uyuni is also a vital source of lithium, powering the world's batteries, but it feels light years from modern life. Here's something unexpected. NASA uses it to calibrate satellites because of its flatness and reflective properties. Standing there, the silence is total, and the beauty? Infinite. What if a city could be wrapped in fog and framed by a crimson bridge? Would you believe such a place exists? Welcome to San Francisco, USA. Nestled along the rugged Pacific coastline of Northern California, this iconic city combines natural drama with architectural wonder. The steep hills offer panoramic views over the bay, while the legendary Golden Gate Bridge pierces through mist like a gateway to another world. Explore the vibrant neighborhoods, the Bohemian Mission District, historic Chinatown, and the Victorian lined streets of Haight-Ashbury. Alcatraz Island looms offshore, once a prison and now a haunting monument to the past. San Francisco's cultural layers are deep, from gold rush beginnings to counterculture revolutions and tech-fueled transformation. Curiously, the city's famously foggy weather has a name: Carl. Locals even give it its own social media presence. With its historic cable cars, buzzing piers, and art-filled alleys, San Francisco isn't just a destination, it's an ever-evolving storybook carved into cliffs. What if a forest could whisper in turquoise and flow in layers of waterfalls? Welcome to Plitvice, a dream written in water. Plitvice. Lakes? Croatia is a natural symphony of cascading waterfalls, limestone canyons, and crystal-clear lakes tucked deep within central Croatia's mountainous terrain. Nestled between forested hills, this UNESCO World Heritage Site stuns visitors with 16 terraced lakes connected by 90 waterfalls that seem to spill from the sky. The park is divided into upper and lower lakes, with wooden footbridges winding through emerald waters and lush vegetation. The colors shift through shades of blue and green, depending on mineral content and sunlight, creating a living painting with every step. Plitvice is a symbol of Croatia's natural heritage, protected since 1949. Local legends tell of ancient queens summoning rain to fill the lakes after a long drought. Today, it's one of the most visited parks in Europe, a place where nature takes center stage and silence is part of the experience. How did monasteries end up on top of towering stone pillars? The answer lies in one of the most mystical landscapes on Earth, Meteora. Meteora, Greece, rises dramatically from the plains of Thessaly in central Greece. These colossal rock formations, sculpted by wind and water over 60 million years, now host a complex of ancient Orthodox monasteries perched impossibly atop their peaks. Out of the original 24 monasteries, 6 remain active today, including the Holy Monastery of Great Meteoran and the Monastery of Varlam. These sacred structures blend seamlessly into the stone, accessible by steep steps or rope baskets once used by monks. Meteora's religious history began in the 14th century, when hermits sought isolation and spiritual clarity in the cliffs. The site is now a UNESCO World Heritage Treasure, revered for both its natural beauty and spiritual significance. Intriguing fact: Meteora means suspended in the air, a fitting name for these gravity-defying sanctuaries that seem to float between earth and sky, inviting quiet reflection and awe. What if mountains met the sea in a drama of jagged peaks and glassy fjords? Lofotodden National Park, Norway, is a surreal clash of raw Arctic nature. Located in the western part of the Lofoten archipelago, above the Arctic Circle, it is a paradise of granite ridges, deep valleys, and roaring ocean. Reachable only by hike or boat, Horsedvika is a beach unlike any other. Powdery white sand in a wild bay surrounded by towering cliffs. Few places on Earth blend seclusion and majesty so effortlessly. From the summit of Ryton, hikers are rewarded with breathtaking views over Kvalvika Beach and the endless ocean horizon. It's one of the most photogenic spots in the park. This park is Norway's youngest, created to protect the ancient, unspoiled coastal wilderness. It's also part of the UNESCO-listed West Norwegian Fjords region. Midnight sun and northern lights make it a year-round spectacle. Can you walk through a fairy tale made of stone? In Prague, every cobblestone has a legend to tell. Prague, perched on the Vltava River, is Central Europe's storybook capital, a place where Gothic spires and Baroque facades create a skyline like no other. Known as the City of 100 Spires, it feels suspended between myth and memory. Start at the majestic Prague Castle, then cross the Charles Bridge, flanked by silent saints and serenaded by street musicians. The Old Town Square's astronomical clock still chimes with medieval flair, drawing crowds that gaze upward in awe. Climb to Petchin Hill for a panoramic view that melts into red roofs and cathedral peaks. The city's Jewish quarter adds depth with centuries of preserved history and sacred sites. Did you know? Franz Kafka wandered these very streets. Prague holds its magic quietly, letting you discover it, layer by ancient layer. What if stepping into a village felt like entering a living museum? Maramuresh in northern Romania is a portal to the past, where traditions still guide daily life. This mountainous region, tucked near the Ukrainian border, boasts rolling hills dotted with wooden churches and haystack-strewn meadows. The region is famed for its 8 UNESCO-listed wooden churches, masterpieces of craftsmanship with towering spires and intricate carvings dating back to the 17th century. One of the most curious landmarks is the Mary Cemetery in Sapunsa, where tombstones feature brightly painted life stories and poetic epitaphs, often with a humorous twist. Locals still weave, carve, and celebrate seasonal festivals in folk costume. A visit here feels like being adopted into a world that time forgot. Ever wondered what it feels like to live on the edge of the Arctic, but still be surrounded by color and warmth? Akureyri, Iceland, defies the stark expectations of the far north. Nestled at the end of the Eyjafjörður Fjord, this small city glows with vibrant houses, botanical gardens, and a cozy cultural life, all under the looming gaze of snow-dusted peaks. Despite its latitude just 100 kilometers from the Arctic Circle, Akureyri enjoys a relatively mild climate thanks to ocean currents. It's the heart of North Iceland, with easy access to wonders like Godafoss, the waterfall of the gods, Lake Mævatn's otherworldly geothermal fields, and whale watching in Husavik. Downtown pulses with charm, cafes, art galleries, and even a microbrewery. The iconic red church, Akureyrar overlooks it all. In winter, the northern lights often swirl overhead. In summer, the midnight sun paints the horizon in gold. Akureyri proves that life flourishes even in the coldest corners, not just surviving, but singing, sipping espresso, and skiing down mountain slopes with joy. Do you believe a mountain can be sacred to 4 religions at once? Mount Kailash, Tibet, rises from the barren plateau as a perfect pyramid. Located in remote western Tibet, it's not just a natural wonder, it's a spiritual symbol revered by Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and Bon. Pilgrims and travelers alike walk the 52 Tiomau Korakora, a ritual circumambulation of the peak. The trail crosses the 5,630-meter Dolma La Pass and offers intense high-altitude beauty. Nearby, Lake Manasarovar is considered one of the world's holiest lakes. Its mirror-like surface reflects the snow caps and spiritual serenity of the region. No one has ever climbed Mount Kailash, not due to difficulty, but out of respect. Local belief holds that disturbing the summit brings bad karma. It remains untouched and sacred. You won't believe these homes are real, or that people still live in them. Alberobello, Italy, lies in the heel of the Italian boot. The Apulia region, a sun-drenched land of olive groves and Adriatic breezes. It's famed for one peculiar architectural wonder, the trulli. These whitewashed stone huts with conical roofs look like they were built by fairies or ancient mystics. But they're very real and date back to the 14th century, originally crafted without mortar so they could be dismantled quickly under feudal tax laws. The Trulli Zone is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with streets lined by these fantastical dwellings. Some have been turned into cafes, shops, or boutique stays, allowing visitors to sleep inside what feels like a hobbit house. Locals preserve ancient traditions here, including hand-rolled orecchiette pasta and colorful religious festivals. Alberobello isn't just a quirky town, it's a glimpse into the resilience and creativity of southern Italy's rural soul. What if you could stand atop the inspiration for a lost world? A mountain so ancient, it predates the continents themselves. Welcome to Mount Roraima. Mount Roraima, Venezuela, rises on the tri-border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, part of the legendary Guiana Shield. This tabletop mountain, or tepui, towers nearly 2,800 meters high, with sheer cliffs and a flat summit often shrouded in clouds. The hike to Roraima's summit is a surreal journey through rainforest, rivers, and otherworldly stone formations. At the top, discover alien-like landscapes, carnivorous plants, and rock towers sculpted by millennia of rain and wind. For the Pemon people, Roraima is sacred, the stump of a mighty tree that once held all the world's fruits. Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World was directly inspired by this place, imagining dinosaurs atop its remote plateau. A fascinating truth. Roughly 70% of Roraima's plant life is endemic, found nowhere else on Earth. This is not just a mountain, it's a time capsule from Earth's distant past. What if the driest place on Earth also had valleys that bloom in flowers, salt flats that gleam like mirrors, and skies so clear you can see into the universe? Welcome to the Atacama Desert, Chile, a place that defies expectations at every turn. Stretching along Chile's northern Pacific coast, the Atacama lies between the Andes and the coastal Cordillera. It's a land of extremes, parched plains, jagged canyons, and lunar valleys like Valle de la Luna. Yet here, you'll find flamingos in salt lagoons, ancient geoglyphs, and geysers shooting into the dawn. The desert's history is etched into the earth, from Inca trade routes to colonial mining towns. Local Atacameño culture persists in villages like San Pedro de Atacama. And the stars? Due to zero light pollution, this is the best stargazing on the planet. So clear, NASA tested Mars rovers here. What if the edge of the world had Wi-Fi, street art, and gourmet restaurants? Nuuk, Greenland's capital, may be small, but it pulses with bold culture and surreal landscapes. Located on Greenland's southwestern coast, this Arctic city is framed by ice-streaked mountains and the vast Labrador Sea. The heart of Nuuk's modern identity is the Katuwak Cultural Center. Designed to resemble the undulating northern lights, this architectural gem hosts film screenings, concerts, and exhibitions celebrating Greenlandic art and Inuit heritage. Walk down to the old harbor, where colorful wooden houses line the water's edge, and fishing boats bob near centuries-old colonial buildings. It's where Nuuk's past and present converge, offering a taste of its maritime roots. Despite its remote location, Nuuk is full of surprises. Fusion cuisine that blends Arctic ingredients with global trends, street murals that tackle climate change, and locals who speak fluent Greenlandic and Danish. It's also one of the best places on the planet to witness the aurora borealis dancing across the night sky. Few places blend ancient ice and modern life like this Arctic capital. What if a capital city felt like a watercolor painting? Calm, elegant, and scattered across islands. Welcome to Stockholm, Sweden, a place where nature and design exist in perfect harmony. Spread across 14 islands on the edge of the Baltic Sea, Stockholm is both a serene retreat and a cultural powerhouse. Wander through Gamla Stan, the city's medieval heart, with cobbled alleys, ochre facades, and the royal palace. Cross over to Djurgården, home to the Vasa Museum, where a perfectly preserved 17th century warship tells a dramatic maritime tale. The ABBA Museum and the Nobel Prize Museum add a modern twist to history, Rooted in Viking legacy and shaped by centuries of innovation, Stockholm blends Nordic minimalism with regal tradition. It's a city where subway stations are underground art galleries and sustainability is a way of life. Known as the Venice of the North, Stockholm isn't just beautiful, it's profoundly livable, poetic, and quietly captivating. Everyone flocks to Mykonos and Santorini. But what if the most soulful Greek island was one you'd never heard of? Tinos, Greece, lies just a ferry ride away but feels a world apart. With marble villages, artistic energy, and a deep spiritual presence, Tinos blends the sacred and the serene. Known for its master marble sculptors, Pyrgos is a village of gleaming stone alleys and open-air art. Almost every house, doorway, and fountain is a marble masterpiece, and the local museum celebrates the island's long artistic lineage. Pilgrims crawl on their knees up a red carpet to reach this church, one of the most important shrines in Orthodox Christianity. Whether you're devout or not, the atmosphere is profound. Tinos is where you hear the wind, not car horns. It's where you eat fennel pie in a taverna with no menu and drink wine from your host's backyard vineyard. It's the Greece that still whispers. One of Europe's oldest and deepest lakes, Lake Ohrid is a shimmering time capsule tucked between the mountains of North Macedonia and Albania. With over 200 endemic species and towns that date back to antiquity, it's a place where nature and history breathe as one. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, this ancient city is crowned by a medieval fortress, Byzantine churches perched on cliffs, and cobblestone lanes that lead to lakefront cafes. The Church of St. John at Canio, silhouetted at sunset, is pure serenity. Rising above the lake, this park offers panoramic views from alpine meadows to both Lake Ohrid and Lake Prespa. Wildflowers, eagles, and the cool mountain breeze make it a dream for hikers. Take a boat across mirror-still water, dine on freshly caught trout, or listen to Orthodox chants echo through stone churches. Ohrid isn't just a destination, it's a gentle step back into the deep, still waters of time. What if a village could look like it was taken straight from a fairy tale? Bibury, England is nestled in the heart of the Cotswolds, a region known for its rolling green hills, stone cottages, and pastoral tranquility. Located in southwest England, Bibury sits along the River Colne and offers an idyllic escape into quintessential British countryside charm. The village's crown jewel is Arlington Row, a string of weavers' cottages from the 14th century, now a national architectural treasure. It's one of the most photographed scenes in England, a postcard come to life. Bibury carries centuries of history, from its medieval wool trade routes to its preservation under the National Trust. Walking here is like entering a living museum where life moves to the rhythm of rustling leaves and bird calls. Here's a curious fact. Henry Ford once tried to buy Arlington Row and transport it to Michigan, so struck was he by its beauty. Thankfully, the village stayed put and continues to enchant travelers seeking England at its most timeless. What if a city wore the colors of apricots, mountains, and memory? Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, rests beneath Mount Ararat and pulses with one of the world's oldest urban hearts. Located in the South Caucasus, this ancient yet lively city blends Soviet-era streets with boutique cafes, jazz bars, and glowing pink tuff architecture. The sun sets golden here, lighting up history, art, and flavor. The Cascade Complex is Yerevan's pride, a massive limestone stairway climbing toward the sky. It holds modern art galleries and open-air terraces with unmatched views of Mount Ararat. Walk its levels, pass fountains and sculptures, and feel the city spread beneath your feet like a living canvas of culture and stone. Republic Square is Yerevan's central jewel, a symphony of rose-stone buildings and dancing fountains. By night, classical music echoes through the air as light shows play on water. Built in neoclassical style, it's more than a plaza. It's a heartbeat of the Armenian people and history. How would it feel to visit a town where thermal springs bubble under colonial streets and brightly painted rickshaws outnumber cars? Antsura Bay, Madagascar feels like a lost chapter from a traveler's diary. Sitting high in the country's central highlands, it offers a cooler climate and a quirky Franco-Malagasy charm, with volcanic lakes hidden just beyond city edges. The volcanic Lac Tritriva is more than just a deep, sapphire crater lake. Locals whisper that its water levels rise when it hasn't rained, and fall during storms. Surrounded by red cliffs and eucalyptus trees, it's a place of eerie beauty and tragic legend, where a forbidden lover's tale echoes in the breeze. Antsarab's name literally means where there is much salt. The town is known for its therapeutic thermal springs, which the French transformed into spa resorts during colonial times. Bathhouses still welcome visitors today, offering traditional hydrotherapy for everything, from arthritis to fatigue. Antsarab is also Madagascar's capital of pousse-pousse. Vividly painted rickshaws pedaled with pride. Each one is a moving canvas, adorned with slogans, celebrities, and dreams on wheels. What if silence had a color? In Asen, it's turquoise, carved into glaciers and mirrored in fjords. Asen region, Chile, lies deep within Patagonia, a vast, untouched wilderness stretching from the Andes to the Pacific. With fewer residents than some city blocks, it's a place where nature still roars louder than humans. Here, the marble caves of General Carrera Lake glow in surreal shades, carved by water over millennia. You can kayak through their smooth blue tunnels or watch icebergs drift under the gaze of the northern Patagonian ice field. From the towering peaks of Cerro Castillo to the deep valleys of the Carretera Austral, every turn reveals a new frontier. Founded late in Chile's expansion, Asen has a rugged settler history, cattle herding, isolation, and survival. Yet today, it draws nature seekers and adventurers craving solitude and grandeur. Fishing villages remain unchanged, and you can still hear indigenous Kaweskar echoes in the wind. There are no mega resorts here, no rush, just sky, rock, ice, and time itself. Asen doesn't try to impress, it just exists, fiercely, beautifully, untouched. What if you could swim in ancient sacred wells once believed to be portals to the underworld? The cenotes of Yucatan, Mexico, are natural sinkholes formed by the collapse of limestone bedrock, revealing crystal-clear groundwater beneath. Scattered across the lush jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, these hidden pools offer one of the most magical swimming experiences on Earth. Some, like Iquil or Cenote Suitun, are open to the sky and ringed with jungle vines, while others, like Cenote Xquican, lie deep underground in caves filled with dramatic stalactites. The water is cool, turquoise, and incredibly pure. These cenotes were sacred to the ancient Maya, used for ritual offerings and believed to be entrances to Xibalba, the Mayan underworld. There are over 6,000 cenotes in the region, many accessible from the city of Valladolid or tourist hubs like Tulum. Whether for diving, snorkeling, or simply floating in silence, every cenote offers a moment of awe. This is not just a swim. It's a plunge into geological time and ancient myth. What if I told you there's a lake so vast it holds 1/5 of all the fresh water on Earth, and it's been around since the age of the mammoths? Welcome to Lake Baikal, Russia, a natural marvel tucked deep in Siberia. Stretching over 600 kilometers, this crescent-shaped basin is the oldest and deepest lake in the world, formed over 25 million years ago. Located in southern Siberia near the Mongolian border, Lake Baikal lies between the Irkutsk region and the Republic of Buryatia. Surrounded by taiga forests and snow-capped peaks, its icy surface transforms into a magical, glass-like expanse in winter, attracting adventurers and photographers alike. The lake is home to more than 2,000 species found nowhere else on Earth, including the Baikal seal, the only freshwater seal in the world. Its cultural roots run deep, revered by local Buryat communities and shrouded in legends. Intriguing detail? In some spots, Baikal's water is so clear you can see 40 meters down, an underwater world beneath your feet. What if the earth whispered under your feet and fire danced beneath the stars? Tanna Island is that place. Located in the South Pacific archipelago of Vanuatu, Tanna Island offers raw, untouched nature, a world far from screens and cities. This is the land where volcanoes breathe and tribal life still flows. The crown jewel is Mount Yasur, one of the world's most accessible active volcanoes. As dusk falls, the crater lights up with glowing lava bursts, a primal, hypnotic show. Explore black sand beaches, blue caves, glowing waters, and lush rainforests alive with birdsong. Tanna's people preserve custom, traditional Melanesian customs, in villages like Yakul, where money holds no value and time moves to rhythms of nature. With no commercial overdevelopment, the island feels like a living myth. Tanna isn't a resort, it's a journey into Earth's heartbeat, where nature is not a backdrop, but the main act. What if you could stand atop a mountain, watch two oceans collide, and feel the pulse of Africa's southernmost soul? Cape Town, South Africa, lies at the southwestern tip of the African continent, nestled between the Atlantic Ocean and dramatic mountain ranges. Its most iconic landmark, Table Mountain, dominates the skyline and offers panoramic views that seem almost painted. A short drive takes you to the Cape of Good Hope, where the continent meets the sea in a breathtaking natural embrace. Cape Town blends Dutch colonial heritage, vibrant townships, and cutting-edge modernity. The colorful houses of Bo Kaap tell stories of Cape Malay culture, while Robben Island bears witness to the resilience of Nelson Mandela. The city pulses with music, street art, and rich traditions rooted in diversity. Did you know Cape Town has one of the richest floral kingdoms on Earth? It's home to over 9,000 plant species, many found nowhere else. Whether you're sipping wine in Stellenbosch or spotting penguins at Boulder's Beach, Cape Town is a vivid, unforgettable mosaic of landscapes and history. Where do legends live? Perhaps in a place where caves breathe cold air, forests hide ancient secrets, and light filters through fog like a forgotten fairy tale. Apuseni Mountains, Romania. Nestled in western Transylvania, this mountain range is Romania's hidden soul, a land of rolling limestone peaks, subterranean worlds, and scattered wooden hamlets that seem untouched by time. The Apuseni are famous for their otherworldly caves, including Scarishwara, home to one of the world's largest underground glaciers, and the karst labyrinths of Peștera Vintului, Wind Cave. Above ground, moss-covered forests and green meadows give the landscape an enchanted, almost Celtic feel. The region has been inhabited for millennia by Dacians, Romans, and today's fiercely traditional mountain communities. Wooden houses, haystacks, and hand-carved gates dot the countryside, where folk tales are still told by firelight. Time flows differently here. Hikers, spelunkers, and quiet seekers find solace in its untamed beauty. And perhaps, just perhaps, hear whispers from another age. What if Portugal's best-kept secret wasn't on the coast, but high in the mountains? Serra da Estrela, the country's tallest range, is where granite cliffs, glacial valleys, and ancient shepherd paths create a rugged escape from the ordinary. This is Portugal's alpine heart, where traditions live as deep as the roots of the chestnut trees. A hidden glacial valley surrounded by birch and granite, Covão da Metade looks like a lost world. Mist lingers between the trees, and the silence feels sacred, as if the mountains themselves are holding their breath. At 1,993 meters, Torre is mainland Portugal's highest point, and accessible by car. On clear days, the horizon stretches endlessly. In winter, it becomes a snowy wonderland, rare in southern Europe. Try the local Serra cheese, aged in mountain caves and wrapped in cloth, or walk the medieval stone streets of Linhares da Beira. Here, every wind-carved rock and shepherd's whistle tells a story older than memory. Imagine standing at a crossroads where a royal palace shadows a neon-lit skyscraper. Welcome to Seoul. Seoul, South Korea fuses centuries of tradition with tomorrow's tech. Nestled between green peaks and the Han River, it's a city of quiet shrines and roaring nightlife, where every hour tells a different tale. Visit Gyeongbokgung Palace at sunrise, where guards still dress in Joseon-era robes. A few subway stops away, shop in Myeongdong, or find stillness in Bongjunsa Temple beneath glass towers. By night, dive into food alleys, K-pop cafes, and underground clubs pulsing with digital youth. Seoul rose from post-war ashes to become Asia's digital titan. Yet its roots run deep. Confucian rituals, fermented flavors, and family reverence remain strong. It's the rare city where Wi-Fi hums from mountaintops and ancient scrolls sleep beneath skyscrapers. In Seoul, the future doesn't replace the past. It walks beside it. What if every curve of the road brought you to a view straight out of a Renaissance painting? That's the daily magic of Val d'Orcia, Italy. Val d'Orcia. Italy is a dreamlike region in southern Tuscany, celebrated for its rolling hills, cypress-lined roads, and postcard-perfect villages. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's not hard to see why. The landscapes here are a living canvas of harmony between man and nature. The area is dotted with timeless towns like Pienza, Montalcino, and San Quirico d'Orcia, each offering stone houses, medieval squares, and quiet charm. Vineyards stretch across the valley, producing world-class wines like Brunello di Montalcino, while fields of wheat and sunflowers sway in the Tuscan sun. This region inspired countless Renaissance artists and continues to attract filmmakers and poets. The light here is golden, the pace is slow, and life revolves around good food, good wine, and breathtaking views. It's Italy at its most serene and most photogenic. Off Scotland's rugged west coast lies the Isle of Coll, a quiet, windswept island where nature reigns and silence sings. With no streetlights and barely 200 residents, Coll is one of the UK's first dark sky islands, a sanctuary for stargazers and solitude seekers. A pristine white sand beach framed by dunes and wildflowers. You might not see another soul for hours, but you'll hear seabirds, wind, and the calming hush of the Atlantic. On clear nights, the Milky Way stretches like a celestial river overhead. With zero light pollution, it's one of the best places in Europe to see the stars, and maybe even the northern lights. Bike along single-lane roads, explore Iron Age ruins, or simply sit and watch seals play in the surf. On Coll, time slows down, and in that slowness, something deep and beautiful returns. You've heard of Vietnam's bustling cities and emerald bays, but what if paradise lies hidden further offshore, where white sands meet jungle-covered peaks and turtles return under moonlight? Con Dao Islands, Vietnam. Located in the South China Sea, this remote archipelago floats off the southeastern coast of Vietnam, shrouded in dense forests, coral reefs, and haunting history. The main island, Con Son, is both the largest and most visited, yet remains blissfully uncrowded. Here you'll find pristine beaches like Dam Trao and Bine Hat, framed by dramatic cliffs and turquoise water. Hiking trails snake through the lush Con Dao National Park, home to rare black squirrels, macaques, and sea turtles that nest undisturbed on the shores at night. Once known as Hell on Earth, due to its colonial-era prison system, Con Dao's dark past contrasts with its serene present. Visitors can tour the historic Con Dao prison and tiger cages, gaining insight into Vietnam's resistance movement. The islands remain one of Southeast Asia's last great untouched escapes, raw, real, and unforgettable. How would it feel to stand with one foot in today and the other in tomorrow, surrounded by rainforests, waterfalls, and coral reefs? Tavuni, Fiji is often called the Garden Island, and for good reason. Located in the South Pacific Ocean, this tropical jewel is the third largest island in Fiji and straddles the international dateline. allowing visitors to symbolically cross between days in a single step. The island is a paradise of lush rainforest, rare orchids, and thundering waterfalls hidden deep within Buma National Heritage Park. Tavoro Falls, a trio of cascades, are especially beloved by nature lovers. Offshore, the Rainbow Reef offers world-class diving with soft corals in a kaleidoscope of colors. Tavuni's remote character has preserved its authenticity. Here, locals still perform traditional mek dances and drink kava during evening gatherings. Fun fact, it's one of the few places in the world where the international time zone literally splits the land, a quirk that adds magic to an already enchanted setting. What if fairy tales had stone foundations and mountain backdrops? Zagori villages, Greece, are a network of 46 traditional settlements nestled in the Pindus Mountains of Epirus. This lesser-known region enchants with cobblestone alleys, slate-roofed houses, and pine-scented trails. Papingo is the jewel of Zagori. Split into micro and megalo Papingo, it's set beneath towering limestone cliffs and close to thermal springs and alpine lakes. One of the deepest gorges in the world, Vikos Gorge slices through the landscape like a canyon from a forgotten epic. Hikes along its edge reveal dramatic vistas and rare wildlife. Zagori's stone bridges are icons of Balkan craftsmanship. Each curve and arch tells of a time when merchants and monks roamed the hills. It's Greece, but without the crowds. Bathed in warm golden light and wrapped in colonial charm, San Miguel de Allende feels like stepping into a living painting. With its cobblestone streets, Baroque facades, and vibrant art scene, this UNESCO-listed town in Mexico's highlands is as visually stunning as it is culturally rich. The centerpiece is La Parroquia de San Miguel Arcángel, a neo-Gothic pink sandstone church that dominates the main plaza and glows at sunset. The surrounding streets are filled with pastel-colored mansions, courtyards draped in bougainvillea, and rooftop terraces overlooking rolling hills. San Miguel is a magnet for artists, expats, and free spirits. You'll find dozens of galleries, artisan shops, and cultural events, from jazz festivals to Day of the Dead parades. The town pulses with creativity and a sense of timeless elegance. It's no surprise San Miguel de Allende often ranks among the world's best cities to live or visit. It's not just beautiful, it's deeply soulful, with a welcoming atmosphere that wraps around you like a warm blanket on a cool desert evening. What if a town could feel like stepping inside a snow globe, even in summer? Colmar, France is located in Alsace, near the German border, and blends French elegance with storybook charm. Situated on the Alsatian wine route, it's surrounded by rolling vineyards and framed by the Vosges Mountains. Its historic center looks untouched by time, with half-timbered houses, cobblestone alleys, and flower-filled balconies that overflow with color. The canal-lined quarter known as La Petite Venise is particularly enchanting, where gondola-like boats drift quietly under ancient stone bridges. Colmar has long been a cultural crossroads. German, French, and Swiss influences all meet here, and that mix is felt in everything from the architecture to the sauerkraut-laced cuisine. One of its proudest sons was Auguste Bartholdi, the sculptor of the Statue of Liberty. His childhood home is now a museum. Visiting Colmar feels like entering a painting, a place where every corner seems arranged by an artist's hand. You think you've seen deserts? Then what would you call a desert filled with glowing turquoise lagoons? Lençóis Maranhenses. Brazil is one of South America's most surreal landscapes. Located in the Maranhão state of northeastern Brazil, where the Atlantic coast melts into a sea of white sand dunes and rain-fed lagoons. Stretching over 1,500 square kilometers, this national park is a seasonal wonder shaped by nature's rhythm. During the rainy season, from May to September, the valleys between the dunes collect fresh water, forming thousands of crystal-clear lagoons in mesmerizing shades of blue and green. Some are large enough to swim in, like Lagoa Azul and Lagoa Bonita, creating an otherworldly scene that defies logic. Though it resembles a desert, Lençóis Maranhenses receives far too much rainfall to be classified as one. Its name means bed sheets of Maranhão, due to the endless, rippling dunes that resemble linen blowing in the wind. This isn't a mirage, it's one of Brazil's most magical secrets. What if the secrets of ancient Christianity were hidden not in Rome or Jerusalem, but in a sleepy town cradled by misty Georgian mountains? Mytisqueta, Georgia, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, is the country's spiritual heart. Just 20 kilometers from Tbilisi, where the Aragvi and Mtkvari rivers merge, this city exudes timelessness, cobbled streets, sacred chants, and golden light flickering from centuries-old icons. The centerpiece is Svetitskovaly Cathedral, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Built in the 11th century, it's believed to house Christ's mantle. The cathedral's massive stone structure, adorned with faded frescoes and medieval carvings, dominates the skyline. Pilgrims and tourists alike stand awestruck beneath its dome, where history breathes from every corner. Overlooking the city from a hilltop is Javari Monastery, another UNESCO gem. Dating back to the 6th century, its cruciform design inspired churches throughout the Caucasus. From here, the view of Mytisqueta framed by two rivers is not just breathtaking, it's spiritual, as if earth and heaven shake hands. Mytisqueta isn't about grand city vibes, it's about presence. Every stone path, every church bell seems to whisper, "Remember." This ancient town embodies the soul of Georgia: faith, resilience, and quiet beauty. It's not just a destination, it's a pilgrimage. Would you dare to stand on a boulder suspended over a 1,000-meter abyss? Kjeragbolten, Norway, dares you to defy gravity and fear. Kjeragbolten, Norway is a glacial boulder wedged in a crevice between two cliffs, hovering above the Leisfjord. It's not just a geological anomaly. It's one of the most photographed and adrenaline-charged spots in Scandinavia. To reach the boulder, travelers must hike a challenging trail that ascends rugged granite hills, crosses snow patches, and hugs the edge of cliffs. But the reward is pure thrill. Stepping onto the rock is like walking into the sky with nothing but air beneath your feet. Beyond the boulder, the Kjerag Plateau offers panoramic views of fjords, waterfalls, and distant snowcaps. It's also a hot spot for base jumpers launching into the abyss. Kjeragbolten isn't for the faint of heart. It's for those seeking awe, courage, and one epic photo to prove it. What if there was a city where European elegance meets Soviet history, surrounded by the Baltic breeze? Kaliningrad, Russia, is that hidden enclave. Nestled between Poland and Lithuania, it's a Russian exclave that feels like a portal between worlds. With its blend of Gothic architecture, seaside cliffs, and amber shores, Kaliningrad invites you to explore a lesser-known corner of Europe. The city's past is layered, once the proud Königsberg of Prussian kings and philosophers. Cross the wooden bridge to Kant Island, where the Gothic Königsberg Cathedral stands in serene dignity. Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, rests beside its walls, a quiet intellectual heartbeat in the city's core. The museum inside explores his legacy and the city's Germanic past. Inside a reconstructed fort tower lies the Amber Museum, a glowing tribute to the Baltic gold. Discover ancient insect fossils, royal jewelry, and a room that radiates in golden hues. Kaliningrad sits on one of the world's largest amber deposits. Look closer, and you'll find a city rebuilding its identity, part fortress, part beach town, part ghost of empire. Few places feel this multi-dimensional. Have you ever dreamed of a place where wild tulips bloom across endless alpine meadows and snow leopards silently roam the ridges? Aksu-Jabagli Nature Reserve, Kazakhstan, offers exactly that. Nestled in the western Tian Shan Mountains of Central Asia, this protected area is the oldest nature reserve in Kazakhstan and a true sanctuary for biodiversity. Towering peaks, clear rivers, and ancient glaciers form its raw, untouched beauty. Aksu Canyon, the reserve's dramatic centerpiece, plunges more than 300 meters deep, creating a surreal contrast of lush vegetation and rugged rock faces. It's a paradise for hikers and birdwatchers, with golden eagles circling above and Marco Polo sheep scaling the cliffs. This land holds secrets dating back to prehistoric times. Petroglyphs and burial mounds are scattered throughout, whispering of civilizations long gone. Locals say spring here doesn't arrive. It explodes, with thousands of wildflowers igniting the slopes in every color imaginable. You believe nature can't surprise you anymore? Then you haven't seen Tsingy de Bemaraha in western Madagascar, a forest of stone that looks like it belongs to another planet. Towering limestone needles rise in jagged waves, forming one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth. Carved over millennia by water and wind, this labyrinth of sharp peaks and deep canyons is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of Madagascar's most protected regions. The Big Tsingy area is the largest stone forest in the world. Visitors can navigate hanging bridges suspended over razor-edged cliffs and squeeze through crevices no wider than their shoulders. Rare species like the Deccan Sifika and Ankarana sportive lemur make their home here, adapted to life among the rocks. Local legends tell of spirits dwelling within the rock, and the silence between the spires only amplifies that sense of mystery. Kaunas is the kind of city that surprises you, quietly. It doesn't shout like Vilnius or parade like Riga, but instead offers a graceful mix of modernist architecture, interwar elegance, and youthful rebellion. Lithuania's second city and former capital, Kaunas is where old Europe brushes shoulders with Art Deco curves, and where melancholy meets mischief. This pedestrian boulevard is the city's spine. Nearly 2 kilometers of tree-lined charm, bookshops, cafes, and Soviet echoes. Once the pride of the interwar Lithuanian Republic, Laivės today is both a time capsule and a lively public salon where locals walk, talk, and protest. Set by the shores of the Kaunas Reservoir, this Baroque masterpiece is both spiritually and architecturally breathtaking. With its ornate frescoes and serene atmosphere, Pažaislis is one of the most beautiful monasteries in Eastern Europe, and a reminder of Kaunas's layered religious past. Kaunas isn't just a museum of the 20th century, it's also a city on the move. It was a European capital of culture in 2022, and it wears that honor well. From its vibrant street art and Art Deco gems to the eerie beauty of the Devil's Museum, Kaunas balances dignity with a wink. It's where Lithuania grew up, and where it now dreams forward. What if paradise was forgotten by time? São Tomé Island, off Africa's west coast, floats in the Gulf of Guinea like a green gem. Once a Portuguese colony, now one of the world's least visited nations, it's lush, volcanic, and humming with birdsong. You don't stumble upon São Tomé, you seek it. A needle-like volcanic plug, Pico Cão Grande pierces the sky, a surreal monolith rising from the jungle. It's one of the most dramatic rock formations on Earth, and a pilgrimage site for climbers and photographers alike. Explore the haunting remains of Rosa Agostinho Neto, a former cocoa plantation. The crumbling colonial buildings now house local families, roosters, and trees, a quiet echo of a complex history. São Tomé smells of cacao, sea breeze, and rain. Life here moves slow. There are no crowds, just space to breathe and wonder. What if your next adventure started where Africa meets the Atlantic, in a crescendo of energy, music, and coastal sun? Luanda, the capital of Angola, rises along the ocean like a city caught between wealth and rhythm. From colonial relics to glass towers, it pulses with contrasts and a relentless beat of transformation. Fortaleza de São Miguel, built in 1576 by the Portuguese, is Luanda's most iconic historic site. Its sturdy walls and cannons overlook the sea, while inside, Blue azulejos recount colonial history. From the ramparts, the harbor stretches wide, a blend of past conquest and modern ambition. Ilha do Muselo, a narrow sandbar just offshore, offers a slice of tropical escape. Palm trees sway over calm waters. Locals sip drinks on boat decks, and life slows down to the rhythm of the tide. It's where Luandans go to breathe and reconnect with the sea. Dramatic cliffs, lush pastures, and a silence broken only by waves. Welcome to São Jorge, one of the most spellbinding islands in the Azores archipelago. Shaped like a long, narrow knife, this remote slice of Portugal in the Atlantic is a haven for hikers, surfers, and lovers of solitude. São Jorge is known for its fajãs, fertile lava fields at the base of steep cliffs, created by ancient landslides and now home to tiny, hard-to-reach villages. Fajã da Caldeira de Santo Cristo is especially famous for its clams, found nowhere else in the archipelago. The island's rich volcanic soil supports dairy farming, and the result is the legendary Queijo São Jorge, a tangy, aged cheese with protected designation of origin, PDO, status, beloved across Portugal. With fewer tourists than its Azorean neighbors, São Jorge feels like a well-kept secret. Hiking along the Serra do Topo ridge reveals jaw-dropping views of both the sea and the cliffs plunging into it, offering a raw, cinematic experience of nature. What if your journey was not just through landscapes, but through spirit? Shikoku, Japan's fourth-largest island, is a realm of sacred mountains, quiet villages, and timeless rituals. Located south of Honshu, it's circled by the legendary 88 Temple Pilgrimage, a route walked for centuries by monks and seekers alike. Shikoku is introspection in motion. In Takamatsu, Ritsurin Garden unfolds like a living scroll. Meticulously shaped pine trees, koi-filled ponds, and arched wooden bridges. Once a private retreat for feudal lords, it's now one of Japan's most exquisite Edo period gardens. Hidden in the island's interior, the Aya Valley offers vine bridges suspended over turquoise rivers and deep gorges. It's remote, raw, and wrapped in mist. A glimpse of untouched Japan. Despite its beauty, Shikoku remains uncrowded. Pilgrims in white robes pass you on country roads. This island doesn't perform for tourists. It invites you to listen. What if the earth had opened itself just to show you how deep beauty can go? The Norwegian fjords, carved by glaciers and embraced by snow-capped peaks, stretch across western Scandinavia in northern Europe. Geiranger Fjord and Nærøy Fjord, both UNESCO-listed, plunge dramatically into emerald waters, surrounded by cliffs that seem to scrape the sky. Waterfalls like the Seven Sisters cascade from impossible heights, vanishing into mist before they meet the sea. Tiny villages like Flom and Orland dot the shores with red cottages and turf-roofed homes that whisper Old Norse tales. Viking spirit lingers in these valleys, where mythology and nature intertwine. Locals tell of trolls in the mountains and fairies in the woods, and the landscape supports the stories with its grandeur. You can sail, hike, or simply stand in awe. The fjords don't just impress, they humble. It's where Earth breathes in quiet majesty, asking nothing but your silence in return. How does a city mourn with a parade and sing with the sound of brass in the air? New Orleans, USA turns every emotion into music. Set along the Mississippi River in the heart of Louisiana, this soulful city is a melting pot of French, African, Caribbean, and Creole cultures, all fused into something uniquely its own. The French Quarter draws visitors with its wrought iron balconies, gaslit streets, and the echo of jazz pouring out of clubs on Bourbon Street. Café du Mond's beignets and Jackson Square's painters are iconic, but beyond the cliches lies a deeper rhythm. Explore voodoo heritage, vibrant second-line parades, and haunted colonial mansions. This is the birthplace of jazz, where legends like Louis Armstrong took their first breaths. During Mardi Gras, the city transforms into a technicolor dream of masks, music, and madness. But even on quiet days, it feels like a song. New Orleans doesn't just have a vibe. It is the vibe, alive with flavor, rhythm, and soul. What if your next road trip took you past towering cliffs, wild beaches, and rock formations sculpted by time itself? The Great Ocean Road, Australia, is one of the world's most legendary coastal drives. Stretching 243 kilometers along the southeastern edge of Victoria, this route hugs the rugged coastline where the Southern Ocean meets the land with dramatic force. The crown jewel is the 12 Apostles, massive limestone stacks rising from the sea, constantly reshaped by wind and waves. Other must-sees include Loch Ard Gorge, the rainforest of Great Otway National Park, and the surfing town of Torquay, birthplace of brands like Rip Curl and Quicksilver. Built by World War I veterans as a memorial to their fallen comrades, this road is more than scenic. It's a living monument. Drive it at sunset, when the ocean glows orange and the cliffs seem to breathe. And here's a hidden gem. Look for wild koalas lounging in eucalyptus trees near Kennet River. You've seen floating markets, but have you ever seen entire floating gardens? Lake Inal, Myanmar, is a dreamlike expanse nestled among the Shan Hills in Southeast Asia. Framed by misty mountains and dotted with stilted wooden villages, this freshwater lake feels frozen in time. Traditional wooden boats drift silently past water hyacinths as the Intha people maintain a life of balance between land and water. The lake's most fascinating feature is its floating gardens, carefully constructed patches of vegetation anchored with bamboo poles. Locals grow tomatoes, squash, and flowers directly on the water, cultivating entire harvests on these surreal green islands. Nga Phay Chong Monastery, resting above the lake's surface, is a teakwood marvel that's over a century old. Its silent halls once echoed with the footsteps of monks and the legendary jumping cats trained by them. Inlay is also known for its unique leg-rowing fishermen. Balancing at the stern of their boats, they wrap one leg around an oar, a mesmerizing sight seen nowhere else on Earth. When you imagine a city split by two continents, where East whispers to West and history never sleeps, you're dreaming of Istanbul. Istanbul, Turkey, straddles both Europe and Asia, divided by the shimmering Bosphorus Strait. This timeless city was once Byzantium, then Constantinople, and today it pulses with layers of history and energy. Its geography alone is a marvel, perched between empires, cultures, and epochs. The skyline is a dance of minarets and domes, with the majestic Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque drawing millions. The Grand Bazaar offers sensory overload, while the fragrant Spice Bazaar tempts every corner of your curiosity. Stroll through the old Sultanate district, or cruise the Bosphorus for panoramic views of palaces and ancient fortresses. Istanbul is where time collapses. You sip tea in a centuries-old courtyard as fairy horns echo from the sea. One fascinating fact: it's the only city in the world that sits in two continents at once, blending cultures in a way no other place can replicate. It's not just a city, it's a living mosaic of civilizations. What if paradise wasn't a dream, but a lagoon so blue it seems painted, surrounded by islets where time moves with the tide? Aitutaki, Cook Islands. Floating in the heart of the South Pacific, this remote atoll is part of the Cook Islands archipelago, lying northwest of Rarotonga. Its legendary lagoon, a kaleidoscope of turquoise, sapphire, and jade, is often called one of the most beautiful in the world. The island is ringed by uninhabited motus, tiny islets with white powder beaches and swaying palms. From the air, the lagoon appears surreal, like a watercolor spilled across the ocean. Snorkeling among vibrant coral gardens and giant clams feels like swimming through a living dream. Aitutaki's culture is Polynesian at its core. Warm smiles, rhythmic drumming, and intricate tattoos speak of centuries-old traditions. Locals still greet each other with Kia Orana, meaning, "May you live long." Despite its beauty, the island remains blissfully under the radar, untouched by mass tourism. It's not just a beach destination, it's a vision of serenity that feels like the earth remembering how to breathe. What happens when a city decides to reinvent itself and goes all in with neoclassical statues, faux Baroque facades, and a massive Arc de Triomphe? Skopje, North Macedonia's quirky capital, offers one of the most visually bewildering urban landscapes in Europe. Located in the heart of the Balkans, it straddles centuries of history, from Roman ruins to Ottoman bazaars, wrapped in a strange but fascinating modern makeover. The old bazaar is a labyrinth of stone alleys echoing with the scent of grilled meats and the sound of copper being hammered into shape. This centuries-old market, second only to Istanbul's Grand Bazaar, is home to mosques, hammams, tea houses, and artisan workshops preserving the city's Ottoman soul. Perched on a hill above the Vardar River, the Skopje Fortress, Kale, offers panoramic views of the city's eclectic skyline. From medieval walls, you can spot futuristic bridges, towering monuments, and replicas of ancient wonders, all part of Skopje's unique identity crisis turned tourist magnet. Fun fact: after a devastating earthquake in 1963, much of Skopje was rebuilt with the help of international architects, including Japan's Kenzo Tanja. The city became a living collage, part socialist realism, part Las Vegas-style fantasy. And oddly enough, it works. What if you wandered into a city where every wall glowed white under the mountain sun? Sucre, Bolivia's constitutional capital, is a high-altitude haven where colonial elegance meets youthful energy. Located in the Andes, it blends cool breezes, gentle hills, and Baroque architecture like a historical postcard. In the heart of Sucre lies the Casa de la Libertad, the cradle of Bolivian independence. Here, the nation's declaration was signed in 1825. The building, with its arcaded courtyard and preserved chambers, holds echoes of revolutionary ideals and the voices of freedom. Sucre is often called the White City for its gleaming facades. Its mild climate, local chocolates, and weekend dances in Plaza 25 de Mayo offer a charming, almost cinematic experience. It's where revolution meets romance, and history strolls beneath jacaranda trees. Imagine stepping into a world where the sea glows turquoise and white beaches melt into lush jungle. The Similan Islands, lying off Thailand's Andaman coast, are part of a national park renowned for world-class diving and surreal marine biodiversity. These granite islands, only accessible by boat, are an untouched paradise in the Indian Ocean. Donald Duck Bay, named for its rock formations resembling the cartoon character's head, offers powder-soft sands and panoramic views from the Sail Rock, a popular hiking point for breathtaking ocean vistas. Below the waves, Richelieu Rock reveals itself as one of the best diving spots in Asia. This horseshoe-shaped reef is alive with manta rays, whale sharks, and vibrant coral fans. The islands close seasonally for environmental recovery, preserving their pristine condition. Strict visitor limits make every trip feel like a private expedition into the wild. Acre is one of those cities that refuses to be forgotten. A place where every stone has seen empires rise and fall, Crusaders, Ottomans, Mamluks, and more. This ancient port on Israel's northern coast is not just a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a palimpsest of power, faith, and resilience, layered in salt and sun. Beneath modern Akko lies a near-intact medieval world. The Knights' Halls, vast, echoing stone chambers once filled with armor and prayer, feel as though the Crusaders just stepped out. This underground city is a time capsule like no other, preserved beneath centuries of conquest and collapse. Standing proudly within the old city walls, this 18th-century Ottoman mosque, with its green dome and elegant courtyard, is a symbol of Acre's Islamic heritage. Built by the formidable governor Al-Jazar, it's a place of beauty, balance, and power. But Acre isn't just old stones. It's a living city, where Jews, Muslims, and Christians share narrow lanes, fragrant spice stalls, and sweeping views of the Mediterranean. At sunset, the city turns golden. Fishermen mend nets. Muezzins call to prayer. And Acre, ageless and indomitable, breathes again. Ever imagined standing on the edge of the earth surrounded by fire-breathing volcanoes, steaming geysers, and untouched wilderness where bears outnumber people? Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia. Jutting into the Pacific Ocean in Russia's far east, Kamchatka is one of the most remote, wild, and geologically active regions on the planet. Home to more than 160 volcanoes, 29 of them active, this land is in constant transformation. The Valley of Geysers is a spectacle of steaming vents, bubbling mud pools, and thermal springs, rivaling Yellowstone in scale but not in crowds. Towering over the land, Kronotsky and Kluchevskaya Sopka rise like fire giants, snow-capped and smoking. The peninsula is also a haven for wildlife. Brown bears, Steller's sea eagles, and massive salmon runs paint the ecosystem with life. For the indigenous Koryaks and Itelmens, this land is sacred, a place of spirits, reindeer, and ancestral lore. Reaching Kamchatka is no easy feat, but the reward is a raw, apocalyptic beauty untouched by civilization. Kamchatka is Earth Untamed, a reminder of nature's primal power and haunting grandeur. Corfu town is not your typical Greek island capital. With Venetian fortresses, French arcades, and British cricket greens, it feels more like a Mediterranean stage set than a sun and sand getaway. Set on the Emerald Isle of Corfu, this town is elegant, eccentric, and endlessly charming. The old fortress, guarding the eastern entrance to the harbor, offers spectacular views and a walk through centuries of strategic obsession. Below it lies the Spianata, the largest square in Greece, flanked by Parisian-style colonnades and shaded cafes. It's where Greeks take their evening stroll, and where the past lingers politely in the breeze. The Liston, with its arched galleries, feels straight out of 19th century France. But step into the Campiello, the tangled alleys of the old town, and you'll find laundry fluttering over cobblestones, locals chatting from balconies, and the faint echo of an Italian area. Corfu town is both regal and rustic. More than just postcard pretty, Corfu town is a living mosaic of Mediterranean cultures. A town where Orthodox bells and Catholic cathedrals coexist, where kumquat liqueur meets Greek mise, and where every crumbling corner hides a story. It's Europe with a twist of Ionian mischief.